Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm heading to a closing this morning. Actually, it's a double closing. Two of the properties that I've gotten under contract recently are both estate sales, and those often get rescheduled because they get complications in the closing process where they need some additional paperwork, some attorney work, some court processing and those sorts of things. And so both of these have been rescheduled, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I'm using the same title company. It's the one I prefer. I don't always get the title company that I want, but it's a no unless you ask. In addition to these both being estate sales, I'm also using the listing agent on both of these to purchase the property. So from these two realtors' perspective, these houses are home runs. Now that didn't happen by accident. That's actually a strategy of mine. And so the way that worked is these houses came up on my feeds. I contacted the listing agent directly and I said, hey, I'd like to see your house. And by the way, I don't have a realtor. I don't need one. I'd like to use you if you're okay with that. And that's completely ethical. And I've done this a few times and I don't really need a realtor's help to represent me. It keeps me from talking to a realtor who then talks to this realtor, etc. And I can just negotiate directly with one person who knows a lot more information about the house than another third-party realtor would. I've had 2 realtors in recent history over the last 2 years who didn't want to do that. And I couldn't believe it when they said, no, I'd rather you just use another realtor. I don't do that. Crazy. That's like turning down a double commission. Something else I did with both of these properties, when I was putting in my offers, I included an escalation clause. For example, one of these houses was listed for $219,000. I think my offer said, I will put in an offer at say 200 and I will have an escalation that goes up to as much as 220,000 and I'll beat the next best offer by $1,000 increments. I'm buying both of these for cash, so I'm basically taking almost $500,000 cash to this closing. So when you're buying a house for cash and you have a clean offer, you got to be careful using escalation clauses because here you have the best terms and you're competing against people with loans, for example, which are not what the seller wants. Somebody might have a loan and a lot of contingencies. There's obviously a financing contingency. There might also be an inspection contingency. There might also be a termite contingency, etc. So if I say my offer is super clean, no contingencies, no inspections, no loans, and all cash, that's as good as it gets for a buyer. So they're naturally inclined to want to accept my offer, right? Well, if you put in an escalation clause that says you're willing to beat all other offers by $1,000, right, and keep bidding your offer up, then you're kind of missing out a little bit because you could have gotten the house at a lower price than somebody with a loan, for example. So the way you do that is in your offer, in your contingency clause where you say, I'll pay this much max at $1,000 increments, you add a few words that say something like, I'll pay up to this in $1,000 increments over other cash offers. So you limit it to those only. So this way, you'll have the highest cash offer compared to other loan offers. And in today's market, buyers will choose a cash offer all day long generally. Let's go back a second and talk about this cash I'm bringing to the table, because to beginning investors, I know that sounds crazy that I'm bringing almost $500,000 here. And you know, how did you get that? And I don't have that much. And how could a real person getting started do something like that? I've not always had access to that much capital. This is just something that happens over time, but it's very doable. And just watch my channel and I'll tell you how I did and how you can do it. But basically, you saw my videos recently. I did a refinance. I did a portfolio loan, which means I took several different houses I had. It was actually about 20, so the majority of my portfolio. And I had 6 or 8 loans. So I took advantage of these super low interest rates, paid off all those loans, and I pulled out some capital. So it was a little bit of a cash out refi, if you will. In addition to pulling out some capital, they also paid off 5 of the properties that are free and clear now, and I can leverage those to finance them or refinance them and pull some cash out of those whenever I need some more. I generally like to have all my properties leveraged and don't have any of them paid off until now, but I'll use that to get more capital as soon as I need it. I don't really need it right now, so there's no sense in me causing some interest expense that I don't need just yet. Because at that refi, I basically refinanced these 20 properties. When I was finished, they paid off 5 of them, and so I only had a mortgage on 15 of them. It also lowered my payments among all those previous payments by about $3,000 a month. This was a 20-year amortization and a 10-year term. I think the rate was 3.95%. Okay, you got to remember this is an investment property. This is not a home mortgage, so they are higher. They did charge me a 1% origination, which I was not happy with. Okay, so I walk away from that closing with $800,000, and I wanted some money out so I could buy some more for cash like I'm doing today. I also have some additional capital where I can do the repairs on these. Once I'm finished with these and get these rented, then I'll have 2 more houses where I can go to the bank and they'll loan me 80% of the after repaired value or whatever it appraises for at the time. And I can do that with 1 house or up to 7. I'll probably just do it with as much as I need to buy a couple of more houses. So at this point, it just kind of snowballs, and I've got plenty of access to capital to buy houses. I'd say the hardest part is really just finding the deals. I also believe that deals aren't really found, they're also made. You got to find something that you can make into a good deal. They don't just fall in your lap. I mean, I buy most of my stuff on the MLS, and you know, everybody on the planet has access to that, so it's not like I've got some secret there. I do like doing off-market deals. I get one of those occasionally. Okay, so I'm here at the title company. Let's go in. Hey guys, this is Todd. He is the founder and principal of Cumberland Title. He does a great job of taking care of me. Coming back for my 38th and 39th property purchase today. So
wonderful, congratulations, holy cow.
So thank you for all you do for me.
You bet, you bet.
Using the same title company is really good because they just know how you like things. They have your information. If you ever need a title policy, you can contact one person. And getting to know the same closing agent is helpful as well. Any words of wisdom?
No, just keep on buying. We love working with you, and we're happy you're successful and doing well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey guys, this is Gina. She's the title closer. What is your official title?
Closing officer.
I was close. Okay. So this is what closing looks like. This is the table. And this is Mr. Bobby. He is the realtor for one of the houses. And so she's got a packet for both of these. There is no loan involved with these. So these are a little smaller and quicker. So there won't be a banker here. So hey guys, this is the second half of the closing for the second property. And again, we have Gina over here closing. We have Tammy, she's the seller. And then we have Angela, who's the realtor on the second house. Say hey guys.
Hey.
So anyway, this is what a closing looks like. Thank you. All right guys, so we just wrapped up house number 38 and 39 purchase. The first thing that I'm gonna do to these properties when I get there is smash the like button to help the YouTube algorithm. Hey, so when I was finishing, a new attorney that works there came in and asked if he could see me a second, and he said, hey, you just bought a house in my neighborhood and I wanted to meet you and see what you do. And it was that $500,000 house that I bought a few weeks back, and I just explained to him my program and process. He's had a few investment properties. I think he has one currently, but what he's doing in addition to working full-time at a title company, being an attorney, he started a fund where he's doing hard money lending to real estate investors. And what this is for people who are doing a flip, or people who are trying to buy for cash and then refinance later. He'll loan you money based on the property itself. Typically, I think those are in the 12% range or something like that for short money. So he's basically being a banker, which is a really cool side hustle or just another way to make money in real estate investing. And while I was there too, at the end of the closing, as I was describing to him my lease purchase program on the property in his neighborhood, I was also telling him, and I asked the selling agent for one of the properties and the closing agent to hang around a second to just hear this in case they could share this with somebody else. I encourage you to plant a seed with people like that when you get a second. Just say, hey, here's something I do. If people don't have enough money to qualify for a loan now, but they've got 20% down, have them call me. We can shop for a house together, and I'll do a lease purchase until they are able to qualify for a loan. Again, just planting that seed, tell everybody you know what you do. So at closing, I got to meet one of the sellers who was an heir to the estate. Tammy, who you saw in the video, is her former caregiver. The lady that passed away that used to own the house left her a piece of the estate, and she has, I want to say, a sibling and maybe a nephew or so. There are 2 other heirs to my knowledge, and Tammy, the former caregiver, is actually the one that's the executor of the estate that's handling all the affairs, which I thought was interesting, instead of it being a relative. So it's nice that she got something back for doing all this work to settle all of her affairs. She's going to go finish paying off all of her bills, and at closing, the title company was able to pay off the couple of years of real estate taxes that were owed on the property. There's a lot of stuff left in the house, a lot of stuff. I've got a dumpster container coming tomorrow, and I just traded contact info with Tammy, the seller, and said, hey, if there's something you think of or want me to be on the lookout for while we're going through these things and throwing them in the dumpster, just call me, and I'll let you know if we happen to find them. But in return, I might have a question about how does the fireplace work, or what's this switch for, or something like that. So I always try to grab the phone number of the sellers if I can for reasons like that. A lot of times there'll be an alarm, and having that code is nice so you can reprogram it or use it without getting service. Matter of fact, at the closing I said, I can't remember, does that have gas service or not? And she said, let me know that it does. And also told me that the gas fireplace works really well, and that the electrical bills were generally under $100 a month. So the way that these both landed on closing on the same day was obviously a change of plans for both of these, which have been changed many times. I thought the one that needed the major renovation would come up first, so I was going to get started on it first. I'm going to flip that now and switch gears and move over to the one that needs the least amount of work. That way I can have it up and running sooner. So I've got my guys finishing up some work they've been doing at another property or two, and been planning to have them fully available today. Anytime I have a vacancy, the goal is to jump on it and get it occupied before anything else aside from an emergency, being a water leak or something like that. But we can push off deferred maintenance to jump on a vacancy so we don't lose rent. Every day a lost rent is like milk, you know, it expires and spoils and it's gone forever. So my landscaper, I met with him yesterday. He gave me kind of a range, what it would cost to get the outside whipped in shape. He may be starting today. I've got a container coming tomorrow. I've got the utilities coming on today. And I've got a small little project plan and the order of operation, if you will. I've got that on a Google Doc. So a Google document, right? Free. I basically just sent a link to that to my two contractors that work for me so they can see these details. And by the way, they have comment access, so they can't really delete or mess up. That thing will be very fluid as we go through this. I'll decide things we're going to do and not do, and have measurements and phone numbers and things like that. And so everybody's got real-time access to that document. So Google Docs is really cool. I also have a Google Sheet for the same property. I've got a Google Doc and a Google Sheet for each property. I got cross links between the two. So when I'm doing like numbers, it'll be over here on the spreadsheet. When I'm doing, you know, lists and things, it'll be on the document. That might sound complicated, but they're very simple docs. They're just rudimentary, kind of like an outline format. And so we're saying, okay, first we're going to go in there and inspect all the appliances and inspect the heating and air. I need to get the gas on. Let's test all that stuff, see what works and doesn't work, get the stuff fixed or get the appliances ordered. I know I'm going to need a refrigerator. But a weird thing too about the one that we're going to do first. So when we went in there to look at it, I did a final inspection yesterday. There's never any lights on, and the realtor was like, I don't know what happened here, you know, like why did all the light bulbs go out? Did she never change them? Like, how could they all go out? I got an update to that saga yesterday. What happened was the estate, the heirs, after she passed away, they went over there and the power was off, and instead of turning it back on through the electric company, they hooked up a generator to the power system. It blew all the light bulbs, and it may have damaged all the appliances. I had it inspected, and my inspector told me, he said, I think the microwave's toast, I think the dishwasher's toast. That's also dangerous for the power grid workers because it'll have electric flow backwards on the power lines. If they were doing some work and were unaware that somebody hooked up a generator to it without a proper, you know, connection, it could shock those guys. But obviously they didn't know what they were doing, and they wrecked some good appliances in this house and all the light bulbs. I hope that the wiring itself is not damaged. I don't expect that it would be, but that explains the breaker box kind of open, some stuff taken apart in there. So I bought a whole bunch of light bulbs and that's something else I do at all my places is I buy 100-watt equivalent light bulbs. You need the places to be very bright. They sell better the brighter they are. If you're living there and it's kind of harsh, or a dining room later, they can change them out if they want to. But in terms of showing it, or selling it for that matter, but this is a buy and hold. I'm going to rent these two properties long term. You want it to be as bright as possible. So step one will be put, you know, light bulbs everywhere. Let's get the lights working, test all the appliances. And then I'm going to look at, there's a big leak underneath the kitchen sink that's gotten into the hardwoods into the kitchen. It's also messed up the tile in the kitchen, and the hardwoods in the adjacent living room has kind of messed up those floors a little bit. I think the hardwoods are salvageable. And I may be able to steal a tile or three that are kind of cracked and busted from this water leak from somewhere else, like underneath a refrigerator possibly, or underneath a cabinet, without having to retile the whole kitchen. From there, it's getting rid of a bunch of junk and then assessing the floors. I'm hopeful that all the hardwoods are are in good shape and usable. There was a fixture taken off of a shower. I'm hopeful that that's should be in good shape. The house is only about 20 years old. Good looking house, good looking neighborhood. I'm buying this house for like $273. I think Zillow already says it's worth $330. It's a little nicer than what I generally like to buy and have and hold. It's a little more expensive than I like to spend on the front end, but I think there's some good value there. I think I'm going to be able to cash flow, and I'm certainly going to have some equity in this property. I'll definitely cash flow in the beginning, right, because I don't have any loans on this. But when I calculate my cash flow, I assume that I refinance it at the rate that I can actually borrow money against the house. So I did that 3.95, or call it 4%, and making sure that I can still cash flow on it if I pull out 80% of the money after I finish remodeling the house. So I'll pull that money out and buy another property, right? So I'm waiting on a call for the granite guy to call me and go measure one of these houses, and then a rental property that's coming open in a couple of weeks. I'm going to take a look at this one and see if I want to put granite in it too, and I'll have him go over there. The other one I bought today needs an entire heating and air unit. The estimate that the seller's agent had for me was like $18,000 or $19,000 to do that. I had my guy gave me a bid, and it was significantly under that. I want to say it was like $12,000 or so. So that was some really good news. And with that extra money, I've decided to go ahead and put granite in that property, which is nice, as well as replace 5 older metal aluminum windows in that house to really take care of some long-term infrastructure, as well as add some aesthetics. I'm not going to replace the cabinets. By just putting granite on top of them, it's enough to give it some wow factor. Some of the cabinets are really low and you kind of can't see the room. And so what we're going to do is cut off the bottom of the cabinets a little bit, about this much, so you can see through there a little more. I'll do a video on the before and after of both these properties. It's been a good morning so far. Closing on house number 38 and 39. If you're lucky enough to have a spouse, a significant other, or a friend, I need your help. Grab their phone, go to YouTube, look up Jeremy Parvin Real Estate Investing, and hit subscribe. We are so close to getting to 1,000 subscribers. This has been a fun project. I'd like to keep this going for you guys. I'm giving free education here. All you have to do is put your questions in the comments on any video, and I'll be happy to respond to you to help you with whatever troubles you're having or whatever question you're having. I love helping people negotiate deals and come up with creative ways to structure the deal, to buy the deal, to finance the deal. If you get stuck, don't worry about trying to figure out everything that you need to know about real estate before getting started. Get started and figure it out along the way a little bit. And I'm here for you. This isn't rocket science. Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. Think of how many people you know who are or have been a real estate investor, and think back, were they any smarter than I was? No, they just took action. You can do it too. Get started. Check out my Getting Started playlist. I've got a playlist on making offers. I've got a playlist on property management. And so wherever you are in your journey, or wherever you come back to, plug into those playlists, put it on 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed. Shoot me a comment wherever you're stuck, and I'll be happy to help you. I really appreciate your help. Thank you so much.